The thing I'd ask you both right now, I think Secretary Rice, you started the answer already on why school choice is important now. I thought you did a really good job of distilling the importance of the issues, and especially when you have the delineation between the wealthy who have school choice because they just pick the school they want their kids to go to and they send them, the middle class and the affluent who can pick the school district and then find the house. But for the working class person working day paycheck to paycheck, every day, having long hours with lower pay, you don't have the same options for your kids. And the only folks, it seems like to me in America, who does not have a path to school choice are working class parents. And one of the reasons why today 80% of working class people support school choice, 76% of Hispanics support school choice, and one of the highest numbers ever recorded in history, 73% of African American parents support some form of school choice. Burgess, why don't you help us understand why the time is now for school choice and also for parental involvement?
The timing is perfect. This is probably the silver lining of COVID. We kind of, I mean, many of us grew up thinking that our kids, we have an education system going to take good care of them because we grew up in a system we're able to come through okay. But we didn't realize that things have changed over the last couple of decades. And we have children, again, as I mentioned before, when 75% of Black boys in the state of California cannot read and write, and we don't think there's anything wrong with that, then we have a problem as a nation. It all comes down to one simple thing. Our country is based on meritocracy. Our country is based on the fact that we want the very best for ourselves, we want the best for our kids. And every piece of this country should be competing against each other. We were talking just before we got started about the NFL this last weekend. It was such a great weekend because we saw so much professional competition at the highest level. Well, our school system should not think that just because they are public school system that they are entitled to have our kids. They should be competing for our kids. We should have the options as parents to say, based on my kids' the talents, their skills, their personality, that we should choose what's best for them. We are the parents. We know what's best for them. When we get to the position where we have a group of adults who say that no, because you're poor, you have to stay here. Even though the school is failing, you have to stay here because the system is more important than your child. I've been hearing this for 4 decades now, how important the public school system is, which it is, as long as it's working. If it's not working, then like anything else in this country, we need to have a choice to do something that is working. The most important product in our society are our kids, and we need to start holding systems accountable. If they're not able to do the job, then we should have a choice of finding a place where kids can come through, have a great future, love our country, give back, and as we all as parents, we've all come to understand. My goal at the end of the day is my kids grow up and run circles around me in every single way possible. And I'll be so proud of them in doing that. And only by a good education can we get that done.
Well, Director Rice, you've already hit on this topic pretty hard, and I think your points were clear and consistent with the truth. You think about those zip codes where poorest families do not have access to the highest quality education. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add to the conversation as it relates to why school choice now?
I believe, as the Congressman said, this is a moment because COVID exposed just how deep the inequalities are in education these days. They exposed that we have teachers' unions, unfortunately, who somehow weren't willing to go in and teach. I said to myself, I would have thought you would have declared yourselves essential workers.
Mm-hmm.
If grocery clerks can go in and be essential workers, teachers need to be essential workers and make it safe and all of that. But we've now seen that the learning loss is dramatic for all of our kids and even more dramatic for poor kids. And I will tell you why. Because first of all, let me just dispel something. Poor parents care, right? Yes,
Right.
there are some dysfunctional parents.
Absolutely.
That. But I've worked for more than 30 years with Boys and Girls Clubs, and I will tell you something. Poor parents care about their kids. They just don't have means. Now, what's happened to them during COVID? My mom actually homeschooled me, right? My first year for first grade, The state of Alabama, in its wisdom, decided that if you didn't turn 6 by October 31st, you couldn't go to school that year. Well, I turned 6 November 14th. You think my educated parents were going to let me stay home for a year? No. My mother, who was a teacher, took a year out. She taught me at home. By the time she finished, I was in grade and everything. But now, fast forward to where we are now for the parent who maybe doesn't even speak the language, for whom access to the school was access to breakfast and lunch for the child. And so we have seen a failure of this system. We knew that it was failing many kids, but now it's been thrown right in our face as to how much it's failing our kids. And so I'm all for improving the public school system. I'm all for paying the best teachers more. But I'm also for giving people choice, because I can't wait, if I'm a parent, another generation while we improve that school in my neighborhood and sacrifice my child on the idea that that school will eventually improve. And what poor parents are saying, every time there's a voucher lottery, every time there's a lottery to get into good charter schools, parents are lined up around the block to get their kids in. And so they understand, and we have to support what they understand, which is that poor parents, it's not that they don't care, they just need better choices. And that's why this is the time.
Senator, can I add to that? And that
Please.
was that was so spot on in terms of
Yes.
the generations that have been sacrificed. We've been hearing this forever. We're going to get the public school system in good shape, and what generation later is still not there. I think what the greatest moment we are is this. This is something I've had a passion for a long time, because I've watched in my community how it's gone in the wrong direction for decades. But what we have is we've had in the past good people across our country who's sympathetic for those who are at risk. They want to help in some way, but it's a sympathy piece. Well, now we're actually with empathy. We're realizing that parents that in the past, because their zip code had choices, realize they don't have choices either. So all of a sudden, that connection of what we have, what my race has been dealing with, our race has been dealing with, is now felt by every other culture and race and zip code. And now is our moment to start having these conversations. I think choice is going to be the top on agenda in the coming years, because we all recognize our children have been at risk for a long time, and we now need to correct it.